I always loved old places. The smell of dust, the silence, the feeling that time itself had stopped to breathe. So when I came to Italy for my history research, I knew I had to see Pompeii, the ancient Roman city buried under ash when Mount Vesuvius erupted almost 2,000 years ago. For most people, Pompeii is just another tourist attraction. For me, it was something else, a heartbeat trapped in stone. I wanted to hear what it had to say. I arrived late in the afternoon. The light was golden and warm. The streets of Pompeii stretched before me, empty, silent, frozen. I could almost imagine footsteps echoing through the cobbled roads, the voices of merchants and children. My guide, Marco, was an old Italian man with kind eyes and a heavy accent. He smiled as we walked. He told me, "Some people say the souls of Pompeii still wander here. When the wind blows, they whisper." I laughed, softly. "Ghosts don't scare me," I said. But that night, I would learn to stop laughing. I stayed at a little guest house near the ruins. It was small but cozy, old wooden floors, a faint smell of olive oil and dust. The owner, Signora Lucia, was a quiet woman. When I checked in, she handed me a candle and said, "The lights sometimes flicker here. The mountain doesn't like electricity." I smiled politely, thinking it was just an old superstition. Later that night, I sat at the desk in my room, reviewing the photos I'd taken. Broken statues. Mosaic floors. The House of Mysteries, Casa dei Misteri. But then I saw something strange. In one photo, there was a blur, faint but unmistakable. A woman's face. Burned. Hollow-eyed. And she was standing in a part of the ruins where no one had been. That night, I couldn't sleep. The wind outside whispered through the shutters, soft and rhythmic. Then I heard it, a voice. Faint. Female. Whispering in Latin, words I couldn't understand but somehow felt. My heart started racing. I sat up in bed and whispered, "Who's there?" No answer. Just the candle flickering on the table. Then, 3 soft knocks on my door. I froze. I opened it slowly. The corridor was empty. But the air smelled faintly of smoke. The next morning, I told Marco what happened. He frowned, crossing himself. "You should not stay so close to the ruins," he said quietly. "Why not?" I asked. He pointed toward a fenced area, a crumbling red-walled house. "That part is closed," he said. "The Casa dei Misteri hides things better left buried." I remember thinking, it's just an old legend. But curiosity is stronger than fear. And that night, I went back, alone. The moon hung low. I climbed over the metal fence with a flashlight in hand, my breath fogging in the cold night air. The ruins looked different in the dark, the stones sharper, the silence thicker. I walked carefully down the narrow street until I found the red house. The door was half collapsed, the frescoes inside faintly visible in the moonlight. When I stepped inside, everything felt wrong. The air was heavy, like the world was holding its breath. The walls were covered with ancient murals, women in red robes, masks, strange rituals. And scratched into the plaster, faint but clear, were 2 Latin words. Non exi. It means, "Do not leave." I remember lifting my flashlight, and then I saw her. A woman stood in the corner. Her dress was Roman. Her face was half burned, half beautiful. Her eyes hollow but alive. She raised one arm and pointed at the ground. Her mouth moved, whispering the same words again, "Non exi." My throat went dry. I stepped closer, whispering, "Who are you?" She didn't answer. She just kept pointing, at my feet. I knelt down and brushed the dust away. The floor was cracked, beneath it, something pale. Bones. The remains of a woman holding a child. Perfectly preserved in hardened ash. Beside them lay a small bronze pendant shaped like a sun. I picked it up. The metal was warm, like it had a heartbeat. Then the whispers grew louder. The ground began to shake. And I realized the voices weren't coming from her. They were coming from everywhere. From the walls. From the city itself. The floor split open. Fire and ash burst upward. I fell backward, and suddenly, I wasn't in the ruins anymore. I was in Pompeii. The day it died. The sky was red. People screamed. Buildings collapsed as molten ash fell from the heavens. I saw the same woman running through the streets, clutching her child. She turned toward me, her face streaked with tears and soot. "They promised the gods would save us," she cried. "But the gods are deaf." Then, light. Fire. Silence. And everything disappeared. When I opened my eyes, I was back in the ruins. Alone. My flashlight flickered, then died. I stumbled out into the cold night, choking on the dust. But the whispers followed me, hundreds of voices now, overlapping, desperate. "Nani xi. Nani xi. Do not leave." I ran toward the exit, but the streets were changing. Walls shifted. Paths curved into dead ends. It was as if Pompeii itself was alive, and it didn't want me to go. At dawn, Marco found me near the temple ruins. I was covered in ash, clutching the bronze pendant in my hand. He helped me up, his eyes wide with fear. "Madonna Santa," he whispered. "The city showed itself to you. Back at the guest house, Signora Lucia made me tea." When I told her everything, she nodded slowly. "My grandmother said Pompeii remembers those who listen," she said. "The city chooses who will carry its memory." I didn't understand then what she meant. But I do now. Weeks later, I returned home to England. My professors called my research extraordinary. They said my descriptions of Pompeii were more vivid than anything they'd read. They didn't know why. I never told them about the whispers, or the vision, or the woman. But sometimes, late at night, when the world is quiet and the wind passes my window just right, I hear them again. Soft voices. Calling from far away. Ash on the wind. And I whisper back. "I remember you. Because Pompeii isn't gone. It's waiting. Under the stone, under the ash, under time itself. And somewhere beneath those ancient walls, the whispers still move. Waiting for someone else to listen."